And then we're live pretty fast. Hello everyone, this is Ninja GC joining again for the Reactor video. This is for MLP Season 8, Episode 21. Joining me again is a herd of bronies.
Hello all you ponies, I'm a herd of bronies. Welcome back to Ocarina of Time Randomizer. Now in the last episode, I ended up finishing Jabu Jabu and getting the Forest Medallion. I still need to get the Long Shot in order to clear the Water Temple and the Silver Gauntlets to access the Spirit Temple. Right now I'm headed for the Ice Cavern because we did get the hint that it was required, so I'm kind of hoping that I find one of the items in there and then get the other item in the next temple. Oh wait, wrong series. Welcome back to Let's Watch Season 8.
Oh, brilliant.
Yes, very brilliant indeed.
All right, next up, Carlos.
Hello there, welcome herbivores and predators alike. I'm Gunmetal Gator, the friendly carnivore that always likes enjoying munching on pizza with pepperoni and supreme toppings constantly, because I am an omnivore. I enjoy all types of life when it comes to going down my gullet. So I hope you all enjoy the Season 8 bit, because we will be there in order to react to these episodes and giving you the true, hard facts about Pony. Whether or not it's rotting like an apple left on a stove, or it's basically like ripening up to be such a ripe old age for a great cartoon series. Stay tuned to find out more at 11 with your host, Jenn.
Next.
Is that my cue?
Yep.
Oh,
Yes.
I have a laptop!
Celebration!
Nobody, applause! Thunderous applause! I will revel in your thunderous applause, for I have set up my brand new 2018 MacBook Pro on my lovely desk. And I, with my headphones plugged in, my lovely little touch bar in front of me. I will conquer the world. But other than that, before I do that, hi, I'm Jen, ready to watch the latest episode of My Little Pony. After that, world domination!
Yes.
Okay, yes.
All right, next up, Second and Day Lover.
Second day away. Ladies first. And from a critic,
kids!
never interrupt the catchphrase.
Sorry!
What was I? Oh yes, from a critic first and a fan second. As in, I rate stuff based on how well or poorly it actually did the thing, and not based on whether I love or hate the thought of. As in, not that my hero is Walter Bloom with his suit tweed jacket and his tight ass and his newspaper under his arm, fancying himself better than everyone else. Not as in that. Here is the second opinion. Just thought I'd clarify that this week.
As well.
All right, and I guess with that said, are you all ready to begin?
We are
Do it.
ready.
All right, we're going to press play in 3, 2, 1, play.
Welcome
All
back
right.
to Viking Land, or Viking.
Oh, wait, everyone.
Sorry.
Well,
Wait, everyone's go back to 0.
Pause.
We moved to the intro again.
well, we got to redo the intro? Okay.
All right, is everyone at 0?
Yes.
Yes.
Press play at 3, 2, 1, play.
Here we go.
All right,
Let's try this again.
let's go. Reverse
Backwards
psychology.
land.
All right.
Yeah.
Oh,
Do you know in a what? You know, this would be more traumatic for like a time displaced Viking in a mature series.
yeah.
So, why do you think all the pillars didn't get an episode like this?
I didn't get an episode period besides Star Swirl.
Yeah.
Yeah, Starswell got one, Rockhoof got one, but that
Hey,
leaves out 4, right?
Yeah.
So, And yeah, if I'm not mistaken, there's not enough time left in the series to give the other ones episodes.
Huh.
Unless they're teaming them up.
Oh,
Hmm.
Belongs in a museum.
it belongs to the museum.
Mm.
Oh,
Oh no.
Oh no.
Dang.
Poor Rockhoof.
Perhaps you could use his unusual talent.
wow.
His trademark is the Celtic one. Come on.
I can't believe
Hold on a minute. Does Twilight sound like she's on helium? Or
A little
I
bit.
told you
Yeah,
the
the volume.
video has a high pitch.
Just roll with it.
On the plus side, we're less likely to be
Waka, waka,
blocked.
waka.
We're less likely to be blocked on the first time. So
Yeah. There you go.
Oh, for rarity, her fruit basket
Yeah.
got
I
killed.
can't believe
Yuck,
that
yuck, yuck.
also Pony became a character.
oh my god.
This is your
helium.
of the intro again.
Oh, and it's also cropped.
Yeah,
Dang.
it sounds so foreign now.
We should
Kind of
play,
sounds better that way, actually.
we should play backwards, then it's calling the devil, right?
They're trying so much to make sure the video doesn't get blocked or whatever.
Demonetized.
this is from Daily Motion.
Honestly, I think I like it better this way.
No.
I mean, maybe it's just
It's
because
backwards.
it mixes
Oh my
it up
gosh.
after so much of the same song. And
Hmm.
MLP has the kind of
Oh,
theme
this-
song that does get old after a while.
Any
Oh,
old
this-
pony is a professor.
This sounds like a very, very grand idea.
There's one thing I learned when I saved my village from a rushing river of hot lava.
Huh.
There's nothing you can't do with hard work. And the shovel.
Hey.
Shoveling.
It's my
Uh,
Mjolnir.
Rockhoof Shovel Knight.
oh,
Ow.
OP alicorn levitation magic.
yeah.
Aw.
That and
I
OP
wonder how.
Earth Coney
Yeah.
Oh
strength.
my gosh. He'll walk out.
Of course, the yak would like Rockhoof.
Smashes things like a yak, smells like a yak.
Oh my gosh, they made like the little like.
Oh no, the
turkey gobble.
shipping.
No shipping.
I support it. I actually support this one.
It's student
I
teacher.
don't know. Maybe Rockhoof is a father figure or something, but like
Power issues.
no Yakophiles.
Oh dear.
Ooh.
What have you all been learning?
We just studied all about how Princess Celestia and Luna used a spell to trap Discord in stone.
Don't say anything to Discord about that.
Class about stories, is it?
Oh my god, Dallas. So weird with your voice.
Billy's is by experience.
You would love to have those classes in real life as well, right?
There you go, yeah.
Oh god.
You fight Ursa Major?
Oh.
Aye, and I defeated her.
Trixie, eat your heart out.
Yep.
Well, that's quite a tale.
From what Professor Fossil said, it sounds like Rockhoof just hasn't settled into modern times.
Actually, it would be
School is
kind of a
the
nice,
place for that.
really nice twist on this if it just turns out that this goes in the opposite direction it seems like it's going, and he just is an awesome professor, and he's almost
Oh,
too good for Twilight to know what to do with him, and that's not what this is going to be, is it?
No,
Now you lot be the
he's probably just trying a lot of things.
Oh my god.
Ah, she's
It was almost like he said, "Show me your war face."
What happened next?
The huge beastie jumped out of the moonlit mist. The fearsome burns that much. But I rolled clear.
Ooh.
Spin dash.
Barrel roll.
Barrel roll, yeah.
Ready to pounce. I looked at her. She looked at me.
Mm.
And I say,
Professor Rockhoof?
nope, guess I got
nope.
Those ones.
Class, why don't we go ahead and take lunch early today? Rockhoof, can we take a walk outside?
Oh.
Can we take the classes outside?
School is about finding your own special way to teach.
Ugh,
And we can
these
already tell that
preambles.
He's going to be in sports, isn't he?
do a little less smashing
Shit.
in the class.
I don't like salads.
I mean, it seemed like
Rockhoof
you were
for
doing pretty
smash.
well there. Just give him made out of stuff that can't be smashed.
Mm.
I know it's a big change, but I think you're gonna fit in just.
Oh,
Oh, it's burning.
drama, drama.
No time. The building's ablaze.
Yeah, it's somehow going to turn out that this isn't that bad.
They cannot get better.
Ooh. Oh yeah.
Oh, God.
Going to be shoveled around.
Rockhoof is the shovel knight.
Oh my god.
Well, he is effective, so
Yeah, make him a firefighter if this is wrong.
Wow.
probably going to be a fire that's supposed to be there. Yeah.
Oh my god. Really Pinky.
To put out the Reactor in Inferno.
Inferno? Where?
Did you not see the smoke and flame?
Yeah, that was us. You know, dragons, having a fire-breathing.
Oh.
Safe inside though.
Yeah, like that's unsafe inside, but Rockhoof, yeah, reenacting a shovel
Alright,
fight
I'm-
is dangerous.
I'm sorry, but like,
Aw.
this isn't really something like you could say he's could have guessed, could have not been this. It's like, oh yeah, blazing fire. Like, like,
I'm not used to living with dragons.
Oh.
Much else in this modern time.
This modern time that tries to be all inclusive.
So no Viking dragons.
No, it's not How to Train Your Dragon and Ponyland.
Yeah, this is one of those plots where I guess the writing is kind of on two different levels, like whether the examples they come up with make sense and whether the broader plot that yeah, it really is this would be this hard for him to fit in for these reasons makes sense.
We did.
Oh no.
Oh no, man.
Oh no.
Uh-huh.
Oh my god, they used the Fred and Dean
That is
reference.
Viking
No.
times. Come on.
What is it with this show and thinking that that's a good gag for Cranky?
Oh
And he's using his old wig from that same episode.
A very embarrassing place. If you know what the definition of embarrassing is, you should know that.
no. Oh
you're not
my
supposed
gosh,
to
how
say
did I
that.
know both biceps?
Okay, that was actually funny. Come right Don't go into the light.
Biceps scream like a girl.
she had the high pitch for it even better.
Yeah, move over Big Mac.
Oh my god.
Oh my god!
Oh no.
Uh-oh.
Okay.
Wow,
I feel like
like abuse.
you could do a better job finding him a heavy lifting job than that. I mean, like, a pony that strong, there's gonna be something he's good for.
Oh
Yeah.
my god.
He just has
Maybe
to
he
be
takes
Pony
apples
Atlas.
at the apple farm or
Yeah,
something.
well, they'd say he was so strong that he just, like, kicked the whole
Break the
tree. Yeah.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Oh no, Canterlot.
Even Canterlot looks different from the old days.
Oh, I'm sure once you see your old pal Flash Magnus.
Wait, Flash? Wait, we actually see him?
Flash Magnus.
There's Pegasi.
Keep it lively, rookies!
Oh!
Rainbow's lover.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's
Okay.
gonna be a Flash Magnus and a Rockhoof episode.
Ditch digger, yeah?
Maybe.
Flash Magnus, as I live and breathe. Is this your squadron?
Mm-hmm.
After we got out of limbo, I went looking for work for a pony with experience in the Royal Legion. Once a soldier, always a
Oh.
soldier.
Princess Celestia was happy to find a new drill sergeant for her guard.
Yeah.
After the last one
He's
married off.
shining armor.
Wow, and
Nothing else, he could be a guard. It's
You
like
should see what Miss made
about
us.
time that the other guards had better than stormtroopers.
oh yeah, no. Oh, Miss Man.
Oh, that's so beautiful.
Pretty.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
Hey, Twilight, you took the words off.
I really do appreciate Miss Main for being like, despite looking so old, to be still quite beautiful.
Mm.
There's not much demand for shovel ponies like me nowadays.
Couldn't you dig for flowers then?
Yeah, ditches. I mean, like,
Did she say somnambula?
Oh yeah.
okay, so we are
Oh,
going to see all the other pillars.
a yoga a yoga class.
Ponies knew what to do with their lives.
It just sort of feels weird that AJ's sort of tagging along in this episode.
Well, she's just going along with it.
I mean, it's the pillar that's associated with HA.
I know it is, but like it's like she's just sort of like here. Twilight
I
like
didn't even
makes
notice,
sense.
honestly.
She meshes with the background so well.
You are relaxed, free to do anything you wish.
Well,
It worked. It worked too well.
It's pony ASMR.
Your home looks just the same as the old
Okay,
days.
yeah.
Wish I could say the same for
it's just
mine.
making them
So we're gonna close out with Star Swirl.
Many creatures need
Oh,
healing in
really?
this modern world. Looks like you could use some too. What's got you heartsick, Rockhoof?
Aww.
Do my old job like Flash, or adapt like Miss Ming, or succeed at something new like Somnambula, or go home like you.
Dang.
Give it time. Even Star Swirl's still learning about friendship.
That's true.
And I bet Stygian took plenty of time to me and my
Careful how he did not take time to fit in.
That's so fitting, though.
Where are you going?
Oh,
I'm not
the
sure.
edgy
Maybe I
fanfics.
just don't
The
belong.
edgy fanfics. Stygian has gone to the dark side of the world.
Now this here's a right mash of apples.
That
Instead of
stupid chandelier is going to fall at some point. I just know it.
the real problem here. We haven't given Rockhoof the chance to be who he really is.
Wow, Rainbow.
Pony with
Yeah.
a little shovel and a heart of gold. A hero. What we need to do is find him a job that's as epic as he
God, the
Oh,
high-pitched
we
voices
just-
are so unbearable.
We just need to transfer him to the My Hero Academia universe.
That's actually surprisingly good wisdom from Rainbow Dash.
Yeah. I mean,
Oh, I
Oh,
mean,
Navy Pony?
oh my god!
that's awfully specific.
Oh, these are the hippogriffs.
Wait,
As long as it doesn't result in like, one more example of hijinks and then no.
So
Hey,
Rockhoof is
but-
now the newest Sailor Scout,
Looks like it's
or the
good.
newest JoJo protagonist, essentially. I gotta keep up these anime references.
I'd take this badass romance.
Hippogriffs, not sea ponies, Applejack.
Uh,
Wait, isn't she the one from the movie?
No.
maybe.
No.
Well, I mean, these are the creatures from the movies, so
Yeah, the
wouldn't surprise me.
hippogriffs are from the movie.
Ooh,
Ooh,
a fortune cookie.
navigating boats with stars. That's
Okay, well, he had no reason
clever.
to doubt Rockhoof, so if this goes wrong, it's partly his fault.
Ooh, Titanic.
Oh yeah.
No, stars can move slowly.
Oh yeah, that's
Oh
true.
no! Even navigation.
Aww.
That is heartbreaking.
Well, he gave up on that one pretty fast for
Aw.
how they built that up. Yeah.
No, no, the boat. So
That was actually kind
But
of
I mean-
smart that they use like this, how they use the stars like
Hey
that.
guys, I just realized this is like a friendlier version of like a Flutter Brother.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, somebody who's willing and unable rather than someone who's able and unwilling.
yeah.
Here.
Oh, Spike, can't you?
Aw.
Oh wait,
You need me to help you decide something?
he's known for stopping volcanoes and all that. I wonder if he's going to be going to the dragon area.
The answer is no.
Why does he want to be a statue?
Because I wouldn't even be here to be turned into a statue if Twilight hadn't cast a spell in the first place.
Oh.
Okay.
He regrets being brought back now.
The answer
That's...
is still no. Why would you want to be turned into stone?
Yeah, that's my question too.
Oh my god.
Age. I belong in a museum.
That is mortifying.
I don't belong.
That's so dark.
It's up to you.
It is kind of, yeah.
Yeah.
That is like a caveman wanting to be frozen all over again.
Please understand. I want to be remembered as the hero I was, not the disappointment I've become.
You're not even a disappointment, dude.
Aww.
Is this the closest they've ever gotten to suicide?
Yeah, I think so.
Yes,
Well,
I think
except
so.
no second planet is Trixie.
Trixie, though.
As soon as I
Yeah.
have a new solution, we'll wake Rockhoof up.
Although I wonder if that was like
The world is a pony.
even intended as that, if they were just
It was. I
kind of
think
going
it
the
was.
route of it. Oh no, Trixie's hoping Starlight will show up and save her, that
Come
this
on,
will
she was
somehow go
shooting
right.
herself into the lion's mouth
Yeah,
and it
well,
even chewed her a little.
I know, I mean, I'm wondering if the episode even realized, like, what that kind of was when it did it.
Oh,
She's so
Leona.
Welcome
cute.
to the theory and defense of friendship.
Oh, okay.
Let me start by telling you that we don't get homework and we only.
Yeah, I can't pull that one on Spike.
Oh my gosh. Yes.
Alice, you Trixie.
Had too many lessons with Twilight.
My Discord?
Oh,
Rockhoof isn't a bad guy.
oh.
Your instructions.
Wow, just casually saying like what happened to Rocco.
Oh, they're going to write about a hero.
Doesn't have to be a long essay.
Maybe like.
I was even thinking about poses.
For his statue form.
Decorated.
Professor Rockhoof, Dragon said you want to turn into stone. You'll not believe.
Oh.
Oh, duh! I forgot also the yak would be a good place for him
Take
too.
it to Yak.
I know, he would be like, he'll fit in super well there.
The yaks or the dragons? Yak's better bet.
But
Yeah.
I'm afraid old stories like mine.
And also snow fits with the Viking image.
Fine. If Pony no won't tell Yona's story, then Yona tell Pony's story.
Ooh.
From class report. When Yona come to Pony school, Yona not fit in. Pony way strange.
Oh.
Yona find friends. Yona meet Professor Rockhoof. Pony brave and strong as Yak. Not afraid. Hero.
Maybe he should go live with the yaks on that note.
Yeah.
Just like Professor Rockhoof.
Wow.
Aww.
Since you went to the trouble of writing something that nice, I suppose the least I could do is tell you the rest of the story.
Aww.
Yona tell whole school Rockhoof is best. Now
Aww. Aww.
Oh.
okay, I have the spell, but will you please reconsider? Rockhoof?
The Earther Major tried to grab me by the gullet! I ducked her claws.
Yeah.
She had me cornered, so I look at her, she looks at me. I say, sorry, you won't be having any dinner tonight, lad. Guess you'll just have to grin and bear.
One-liner.
Yes.
And she's been a constellation up there ever since.
Oh, you flew the Earther Major to the sky?
The end of my
Dang. He's strong.
So.
Since we saw how big even just an Ursa Minor was.
time to say goodbye.
Aww.
Oh.
Anything in this time you were good at. What about telling stories?
Yeah.
See, all he had to do was go outside.
Tail.
One that
really?
captured the hearts and imagination of every creature here.
Well, he is the Celtic nut, so.
Super fun. As the Princess of Friendship, I'd like to appoint you as Equestria's official keeper of tales.
Mm.
Can you do that?
Yes, the yak ambassador.
That's
But I
cute.
still think these old bones are more suited to a museum display.
You
Aw.
Your stories can inspire and teach generations to come. If you're a statue, that's all lost.
Mm. Which I think kind of going back to option A here, just like tweaking it a bit
Maybe.
with the architecture pony and all that.
Once there was a small yak that knew more than a great hero.
Hey, don't forget the dragons.
Aye, there were dragons and ponies and plenty of hippogriffs, plus a changeling and a
Oh.
Aww.
Oh my God.
Yay!
That was wholesome
That was
goodness.
an interesting episode.
Yeah,
Hmm,
that's cute.
I thought-
That's
I
cute.
thought it was great.
Yeah,
That's
no. Like, honestly, I feel like this is definitely an actual contender for a great episode for season 8.
I agree. I agree.
Oh,
I
definitely.
definitely agree.
We
That's
don't need
actually
to
getting the
bury
feels
it.
a little bit.
Yeah.
I mean,
I
I
don't
get
know
the
if I'd go
feel.
that far, but I did like it.
Yeah.
I think that's a good summary, though. It's like this is a contender for a great episode, as in like it has the potential, but I felt like the story just like the characters were good in it, but like the story just felt weird at times. Like it looked like this a lot of like weird like on turns, and it just I feel it could have been focused a little bit more. Like it reminded me sort like our last episode felt like too many morals in like one thing. Here, this is like had like a. It's hard to describe. Like it's like a lack of what?
The wrong one.
Or
No, no.
like not enough
Not
of a grip on the on the exact moral it wanted.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I didn't have a really grip on the.
I mean, in structure, I guess I'd say it is sort of the standard misadventure on a quest to, or several misadventures on a quest to find the right answer sort of thing. It's one after the other. They all go wrong for sort of hijinksy reasons, and some of them make less sense than others. And yeah, it ends with somebody says the magic words, and they stumble onto whatever they want the solution to be. And that solution, it's fine. It makes enough sense. It's not particularly good. It's just what this one holds over a lot of plots like that is, well, in simple terms, charisma. like I guess you guys are saying the characters are pretty good in it. Rockhoof, yeah, it seems like he's on his own likable enough to carry an episode. He's got the energy. He's pretty fun. You almost feels kind of like a cheat that he is somehow this bad at everything, but or that he apparently is he's supposed to be. But I mean, but yeah, Twilight serves her purpose fine. Okay, well, it is mainly a Rockhoof episode, but I guess focusing on who the standouts are. Yona, they put her to use pretty well, and otherwise the cameos from the Pillars, they still hold up as personalities. Like, I think Sonambula was my least favorite Pillar episode in last season, and she was still kind of the best part of it.
Yeah, Darrington. We don't want to speak about Darrington in here. But, yeah, it's like for like in cameos for like this episode for like the Pillars, it's like Flash. It's kind of like weird because it's like it's weird that a orange Pegasus is ruling like the catalog guard. Meanwhile, an orange Pegasus is like just like a soldier for like the Crystal Ponies who also starts with Flash, and it's just like
Yeah.
It's such a cringe thing.
It's the wrong Flash cannon.
It's like, should I do my first? No. This is fine. The farther away he is from the actual close, prominent cities, the better.
Yeah.
But let's see. Flash was decent in his cameo.
I think all the cameos worked pretty well.
Yeah.
That was actually, I think that was actually one of the better parts of the episode was just how they're going and find. You gotta see how we got to see how all they're more integrating into modern Equestria.
And here's the thing about Stygian. Instead of like what they gave for Tempest Shadow at the premiere of season 8, instead it's like here's a book detailing his facades and what he used to be, and he's now become a bookseller, and it's just like
that's got to hurt a little bit if even the Pillars errand boy is adapting better and becoming more beloved than one of the Pillars.
Yeah, more issues, I guess.
Yeah, and it's like, here's the thing: Rockhoof was sort of like the weak link in terms of what the stories doing Campfire Tales. In my opinion.
I would have argued both him and Flash Magnus.
Oh, no. Yeah.
I mean, I guess Flash Magnus had cooler visuals, but I mean, they were both sort of like. There's a character who wants to succeed at X, and then solution Y is presented, and then they go at it. They have some cool visuals, and they succeed. Like, I think that Rarity's story with name I can't remember blew them both away.
Miss May. Not like seriously. Like that story was really what Starlight's story should have been. It was like God. I wanted more about those ponies, but getting back to like Rockhoof in terms of like personality, like he just doesn't really have like his accent and his bronze. He just seemed to be like the least interesting pillar of them all to me. But then
which is why I think they chose him for this episode.
Yeah, exactly. That's true. Yeah. But I also see it as a bit as a reverse of Gabby the Griffin. And she's good at everything, and Rockhoof sucks at everything.
Oh my God!
There's that comparison. And yet Rockhoof is still easier for me to swallow than Gabby the Griffin.
Yeah, actually, yeah.
But I think I like the moral of like finding your place in life and what you're supposed to do, and I like the different things that he tries. But I do agree with Ninja. Like there's some of it that's like, doesn't make sense.
Like I mean, they kind of just like throw him into stuff, and I mean like. Okay, he can't be a male pony. The cliche phrase is go out and see if the post office is hiring, but he can't be a male pony because he doesn't know what embarrassment is. Okay, that's just plain ham-fisted.
Stuff like that in like times that.
I mean, if you even know what the definition of the word embarrassing is, you should know why that's a bad idea. He has a very embarrassing rat. He's not Pinkie Pie, and that joke was hammy when Pinkie Pie did it. Like, come on.
I mean, the thing, the one that just got me was like where he was putting out the fire, and it was like, like why you shouldn't have done it. It's like it was literally blowing out flames.
Blazing fire, yeah.
Yeah, what's anyone supposed to think?
Yeah, like anyone that's new to here would have been like, fire action. But it's like, yeah, I think like it was an unreasonable reaction for him.
Yeah, like seriously, it's like it just seemed like the whole academy was like it's normal to see fire even during like matter of principles and
I also love the way he shoveled the students out of the room.
They just got better. That was pretty good.
Yeah, like seriously, Yona is her most adorable in this episode.
She is. She's adorable.
I didn't even think that was possible.
I don't mind the shipping this.
No. This is not a shipping. This is very much.
It's too late. It's too late. It's already. It's too late. It's already done. I shipped it, and now I've shipped it, and now it's gonna be floating, and then it's gonna fly away. It's all gonna be good. So ha.
Yoda's not old enough for me to stomach that one, but
all of the pillars are going to be shifted.
Okay, we'll keep it as hero worship for now. We'll keep it as hero worship for now. We're gonna let the fandom. We're gonna let the fandom decide what happens when she gets older. Okay.
Mm-hmm. But it's like. I sort of really did like how like Rockhoof like throughout this episode was just showing himself to be like actually, but he was kind of like really great at like just trying out like so much like new stuff. Like just giving him so much time. But then like in the end of the episode, it's just like okay, we're reaching like health of information levels of implied maturity / mortality at this point, you know?
Yeah.
And it's like, and I'm like, I'm loving this. I'm loving this. Keep giving me more of this. This is what makes you a great episode. And it keeps on selling it to like the point of like, all right. I can respect this episode for just being like, yeah, Rockhoof. It's like Rockhoof was like in a coma, and he had this talent that was like good at the time, but then years have passed on, and his talent is not really as good, is not really as readily as available as it used to be. So he's just kind of like, what is going to be my current employment right now? Am I just going to be like someone who slacks off until like the opportunity arises in which I can use my talent? No, I'm going to try to get myself something new to be like something into the forefront for like this new reality. And he struggles to like adjust to it. Oh my God, he's literally Captain America fused with Thor. Oh my God. Oh my God, guys.
About that.
It'd just be just that horrible, like, say if he did go back to his hometown and it's all like Canterlot.
Yeah, and
all trendy and hip, and all oh no.
Yeah.
I can imagine if that happened to be like Twilight turned me to stone.
I'm still trying to remember what my champion in the edging towards the harsh, dangerous reality is. It I think one of them might actually be all the way back in season 1 with Stairmaster, where he has like Fluttershy, who at the time at least still seemed to have an older teenager sort of relationship with the Cutie Mark Crusaders, where she doesn't know, she's not quite old or experienced enough to handle kids herself, but then she has to not only step it up when they wander into the forest, she has to sink or swim, protect their lives in that moment. I mean, that, from a mystical, dangerous animal, but still a dangerous animal, all of that, I thought, edged towards seriousness that, in ways that, in spite of itself, did kind of feel real. This, I guess, I feel like they do a good job of, playing up, showing us Rockhoof's sense of responsibility, his sense of honor, and his sense of shame and all that, why he wants to do this. In presentation, I mean, I guess it kind of feels like, well, it's the third act. Now we've got to say that something horrible is on the way. It feels like him, trying, putting forth an option of despair, arguing for an option of despair in an argument that we know he's destined to lose, that we know isn't, but we're basically waiting for that option to lose out.
yeah.
But actually, though, on that note, did anyone think the solution they come up with is less than golden, not the most satisfying thing you could have imagined?
Yeah, that's my main issue, because there's oh, find your place, we find this, you'll be a storyteller, because it's that just sort of feels pulled out of the flank. I mean, he's good at it, but it just feels like they oh, you're good at telling stories, so that's your job. Instead of okay, you're good at telling stories and all that, let's find you how we can utilize it. It's just they skip. It's they skip the final step.
Yeah, definitely.
This episode spends so much time showing us what's interesting about Rockhoof and all there is to him. He's had so much experience adventuring. He's learned so much in regards to it, much of which is not still useful, but heck, he has his own philosophies. Experience is the best way to learn and all that. He connects with the students in that way, and their solution at the end of it all is just the storytelling. Well, you make that pretty interesting, so how about that? Well, I mean, it was nice that I can do that one thing and all, but I still almost prefer the statue option. Well, no, we really, really like how interesting your stories are. I mean, it's fine, but it feels it almost feels it came up short of what it could have been.
Yeah, and he even says it's a tall tale, right?
I don't know about that. Yeah, it's just it's kind of what the final song in Rainbow Rocks. I'm all right, this is the key moment, the key critical moment, and delivered. It's really? That's your best shot? I mean, I guess that was
Something.
fine, but like that's what you were. That was your ace in the hole.
Eh. I almost thought like, okay, for a minute I thought like Rockhoof would have been like, I know Rockhoof, we'll make you a stand-up comedian.
Yeah.
After that Grin and Bear It like comment of like stand-up comic. Oh,
Over Schwarzenegger.
Oh my gosh.
Scottish Schwarzenegger.
Oh my gosh! It's the new governor of Los Angeles.
Okay.
And that was a very well-timed static.
But so yeah, actually, what I said before with like plot that to function on two different levels, like whether the idea of him looking to fit in so many ways and all of them going wrong, and also whether each particular way is convincing. Like, I'd say that on both fronts it was spotty. Like, nothing was full blown facepalm cringe or anything like that. But yes, some of it on both fronts made more sense than other parts.
All right. So, second, I have a point that will be very happy for you to hear this. Since we couldn't see the who written this episode, since the copy we got literally cropped out that part. Looking up on the Wikia, the writer is a new writer for season 8. The same writer, Keita Mabara, is the same person who wrote for Horseplay.
Oh,
Really?
Oh,
Okay.
Cool.
how about that?
So literally
like
an actual
him, fellow.
improvement. Now,
I would say I feel maybe the characterization part is better, but like I feel like that episode was more focused. Like,
What was it? Good.
I mean, I feel like the actual moral, like the episode does a better job of integrating its moral and resolution compared to this episode, which is sort of like here's a resolution.
Oh, yeah, I totally agree.
Well, I mean, you're talking about how, like, we can see what the moral should be from the start. Like,
Yeah.
Celestia is just a pony. You should be honest. Or, I mean, am I? Like, I mean, is that what you're? Well, okay, I can seem to help being second opinion here, but is that what you were referring to?
Maybe. It's because Ninja.
And if
Yeah.
he asked you a question.
Wait, what?
Wait. Was it
Was
me?
he referring to how, like, the setup was you should be honest with Celestia and she's just a pony, and like how we could see that all the way across Horseplay?
I mean, just as a whole, like it felt like there's a more like the episode was built. It felt like a more traditional MLP episode that was more focused, and this one just sort of felt like a lot of random adventures with a sort of resolution at the end.
Well, actually, if you think about it, now that I think about it, they are in many ways really, really comparable. Like,
I mean,
if you actually Celestia. What's up?
Listen, because they actually do sort of deal with people like not like a fish out of water stories. Both of them deal with that, and also ponies like way older than like everyone else around them.
Yeah. Well, like hey, maybe if we put Rockhoof here, Cranky has a really embarrassing rash. Maybe if we put Rockhoof here, I brought you the whole tree. Maybe if we put Rockhoof here. Maybe if we tell Celestia to be quieter. Hey, everybody, how about... Maybe if we tell Celestia to be louder. Everybody, I raised this... Maybe if we have Celestia play charades. What does waving my arms in random nonsensical directions mean? Maybe if we give Celestia acting lessons. Hey, I could not be any more wooden. Like...
Just keep going, second. This is so funny. Maybe we should do this. Maybe we should do that. Maybe Granny Smith should be partying in Las Vegas. You mean here come the sluts?
We should make an episode about this.
Totally.
Totally, yeah.
Which they did. Although they didn't have Granny Smith on the slots, I would go for that. But I mean, like in that sense, they're pretty comparable. Like I guess, Celestia, it had its moral for her in mind ahead of time, and you could tell that, and it ties in better in that it is the one that they had in mind ahead of time. It's
it feels more caring about like Celestia and stuff. Like Rockhoof, it's like, okay, no.
I would argue it cares more about pandering, but I mean,
I know.
Yeah. Well, my beef is that the whole point of the episode seems to be that Celestia is so cute and just a pony, just like you, because that's what good pandering, I mean, that's what good relatable characterization.
Just because I can see my mama in it and you can't.
Well, most people, I think the broader thing is,
that's
regardless of whether I'm
That's interesting. That's interesting. Like, oh, Celestia's a pony like everyone else. Yeah, except she's an alicorn.
Yeah,
who
but
can lift
thousands of years.
What does that got to do with anything?
Thousands of years of experience running the empire and working on her.
And yet she can't. And yet she can't act.
Standing in front of a crowd and acting. If you never tried it
no.
before?
Technically, it is not the same as standing in front of a crowd as acting. That is why Celestia is inhumanly cringe when she tries to do this specific thing.
Because she hadn't had 1,000 years of acting.
Yeah,
just public speaking.
Yeah. Exactly. So that's totally different than acting.
It's totally light and day. It only involves standing in front of a giant crowd and saying things in a measured way.
And lifting and raising the sun.
And wanting to convey the effect, convey a specific effect. Other than that, it's totally different. Yeah, it involves movement.
Well, I'm sorry, I can see my mom in this if you can.
I think the broader point is that whether it is what I say it is or not, people, a lot of bronies at least tend to like the thing I'm referring to. The so cute.
She is though.
Why would they get the idea like she's so cute? Why would they get her that idea? I don't think a Celestia is cute. I mean, she's beautiful, but I don't think she's cute. Unless you were like drawn as a chibi style, then or if it was a Meowchi or something. Well, then we'd have a discussion.
Yeah, but we can discuss that episode to death after. But going back to Rockhoof.
Rockhoof.
I actually felt for Rockhoof. I did feel his struggle, and for a bit I was like, oh my gosh, I'm getting the feels again. Oh no! So, and it was really riveting to see like his him try to him struggling and like to fit in and such, and but still it was too adorable with Yona the yak, like just like hero worship. It was adorable. But anytime she's adorable. Now she's freaking adorable.
She was always adorable.
She is very adorable, and when there is a plush that exists of her, trust and believe, I will knock everybody down in order to get it.
I guarantee it already exists. Like
probably, but how much?
Custom ordered from somebody, I bet.
But but I'd probably have to donate. I probably have to donate both my kidneys, all my blood, and my
computer, Jen.
What?
Someone created it.
Actually, you guys might
create what?
The Yona plushie.
Shut up and take my money! Take my money now! Take my money now! Take my kidneys! I don't need them! Take my money! Take my kidneys! I don't need them! Where is it? I must find it!
It was made by Plushie Puppy on.
They got the other. Yeah, go to the other students too.
Oh,
nice!
It's so cute.
Oh, cute. Although you can't braid her hair.
You're not
I was
blush soft
very
and cuddly.
Jesus, I haven't been on DeviantArt for a while. I got a lot of notifications.
I know. Same here. Same here. But this comment is like perfect on there. It's like, you're not blush soft and cuddly. I'm like, perfect.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Actually-
and also they've got, oh my gosh, they even have a thorax plush. I want it.
Yeah.
I want it.
Get the bucket.
New thorax.
I
Right?
want
Maybe
it.
they
I want
have
it. He's so adorable.
Rockhoof plush as well.
Hey, they even got Rah-Rah too.
Rah,
They even got Rah-Rah. They got Derpy. Of course, they got Luna.
Okay, going back to Rockhoof and stuff like that, I really like how he fits his cutie mark now, because I don't know if all of you guys noticed, but he's the has this sign, the Celtic knot. It's called. It's yeah. So he's fitting to that now, with the storytelling and stuff like that.
Oh.
If you take like Viking times and you take that sign, because like 3 triangles is like a story that goes on into 3 and moves on forever.
Oh.
What?
Wait, what?
That is trippy. Like,
What?
that represents eternity of story. Like, the story lives on.
Yeah, so now we know why they opted for the story ending, at least.
Yeah.
Dang.
You just
Actually,
done,
you know
you just
what?
done blew our minds here.
Yeah.
There is a actual, like, it's like, then again, I mean, they foreshadow it at the beginning with like his dangerous lecturing style,
Yeah.
going completely off script from like Professor Twilight's notes and such. But then it's just like, I didn't feel like it came out of nowhere, and I just was like, a folkteller. That's honestly something I could definitely see. Rock.
Just like I said, like with all the interesting stuff they built up with him, it's like the fact that they tried so hard to like pare it down to just the storytelling. I mean, it almost feels like a waste. I mean, I felt like instead they could have like tried to emphasize that is the key part of him being a history professor or a history counselor or what have you. Like felt like they pared down his interesting traits too much, and that was the big finish.
Yeah.
Or at least that's what, if I had to describe why that felt a little underwhelming to me, that is about what I'd have to say right now.
Yeah. But they could have done it more with, so it fit the knot as well. So it was life, death, and moving on.
Well, in a hands-off sort of way, I guess that's incorporated.
Yeah, a little bit. Oh, that's a far reach though.
Yeah.
DC was going to say something, I think.
Yeah.
No, see, that's why I was pointing with my issue with this episode is I just felt they didn't integrate like they found the key to like his fitting in, but they presented that as the end solution instead of the key to the solution, which really what it was. It's like that old expression, like blank plus blank, question mark equals profit sort of thing. It's just like, it feels like they skipped, like they forgot to get to the profit part. It's like,
actually, you guys might hate me for going back to this, but like we're speculating that Rockhoof, possibly the least interesting pillar, that might be why they decided he needed this episode dedicated to him.
Yeah.
Well, okay, another horseplay comparison that seemed like it was kind of trying to develop Celestia, no? Like fill in traits for her and such.
Oh my god.
Well, okay, but you compare the two, horseplay kind of along the same lines as Royal Problem. It seems like it's trying to counter previous impressions of Celestia, like royal, dignified, motherly, someone to aspire to. No, you haven't. See, you don't really know her yet. You don't know about her cute side, her bouncy side, her giggly side, her fun, lovable. Like this doesn't go the route of, oh, you thought Rockhoof was just a strong, hopeful underdog sort of guy. No, what about how he gets insecure, or he gets, or he has a sensitive side, or what about all the ways he's the exact opposite? It doesn't actually do that at all. It just starts trying to dig into stuff that it thought would be there, that it thought would be fun to look at with a character like this, and goes nuts with it. He's enthusiastic. He doesn't hesitate when something seems wrong to him. Like, yeah, a bowl of wooden fruit, he thinks it's a prank. What does he do? He golf clubs it out the window with his shovel. Yeah. He thinks there's a fire, he springs right into action. Like he's, they don't try, it's like they know, well, in this case, they don't feel like they need to make him the opposite of what he would have come across as last season to fill him in. He has a lot more interesting traits now. His knowledge, his enthusiasm, his humor, his sense of shame and honor, and all of the above, because they focus on, like, yeah, what would be a good fit for a character like this? What would be fun to explore? It's like it's not so concerned about playing off of trends or anything like that.
I don't know about that.
So you may begin telling me why I'm wrong now.
But then new trends have like old school stuff.
Come again.
Next.
But I guess any other final thoughts on this episode, though?
I'll say one of the thoughts I have. One of the parts that I really liked about this episode is that whole part near the end of him wanting to go be turned back into stone. Like it's
so dark.
Any regular middle tier episode would just be like, oh, I'm sad, and then they find the solution. In this episode, though, I want to fucking die, and then they find the episode. Like,
well, there is a solution to get him back, though, like into Discord. So
that and how they weave Yona into it instead of just having Twilight or whoever come up with the magic solution half a second before he's going to turn to stone. Like, they set Yona up, and then they have the payoff with that later.
I'm actually surprised, like Twilight, she went along with it and found the spell again to do it on him. I was just like, really, Twilight? Are you sure about that?
Let's not forget about Applejack also being along for the trip for no discernible reason.
Yeah, that's what I commented on earlier, and like it's just so funny because like it's literally just like, okay, we need more, we need AJ more episodes. Here, she's tagging along, and
that's good.
It just feels like she is literally still just tagging along. It's like, I'm here. She's like, it's like we probably should have another pony just because like just someone else for Twilight to play off of besides Rockhoof. Is like, oh, let's just throw in AJ because like she's his modern version, and they proceed to not use her really at all.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, just as like, yeah, I think there's a time to not clutter an episode with characters. I guess I'm okay. I don't think you necessarily need to pare every situation down to its bare minimum of characters, like an extra character sometime. Like, heck, there's such a time. I guess. I'm not against it if it's not like weighing anything down. In short,
it's just like something weird like pick up on, but like in the end, this episode was something that had some subtle great moments in it as well. Like the whole thing about the cartography scene with like the Navy, and I'm just like, I would never think a cartoon show aimed for young kids would actually go as far as the stars are not in the same places as they used to be.
Actually, I knew that's exactly where it was going when like they were sailing into like a misty cloud. I was like, oh wait, the stars shifted, didn't they? Bam! I was like, yep.
Yeah.
Like it caught me off guard, and it was like a good caught me off guard moment for me. I'm like, oh my god. It's so sad.
Yeah, that's actually also pretty dark. To think about that.
Well, I mean, that whole thing on it, they did a lot to set that up just to do the same thing they did with all the others. Something's wrong with it, throw it out.
I think like it's because it means more to Rockhoof with the stars and stuff like that.
Yeah,
But even that has changed with time, right?
Yeah, like it's like the implication is like even the world that you think like still looks the same, like the one in which you're just looking at the stars, they're very clear out. Even they have changed, despite how subtle of a change they might be. They're not in the same place that they used to be, but you're still static. You're still not moving forward with time. In fact, you're moving behind the times. Like it's like you can infer so much from it, even if the episode's not trying to go that far in depth. You can actually say that, and it wouldn't go against the episode's ideas for like where Rockhoof is at this point. And it's, oh my god, it's actually prolific. It's actually analytic. Oh my god. It makes you want to actually analyze this episode for all the deep dark morals that you could talk about Rockhoof and how he's just basically like a caveman version of like the pony that used to be the big cheese, but now is like someone who could be like a reckless grandfather with still a lot of energy and is not a grandfather yet.
He's a crazy uncle.
Crazy Uncle Rockhoof. It's just like there's so many things you could talk about this episode. Like that's why I consider it to be like an actually great episode, even if it has shortcomings, and like in its where it comes to like the conclusion. But then I'm surprised by like what everyone else brings up to the table. Like is Cutie Mark's representation actually being related to like storytelling, like eternity essentially? And it's just like more and more of these elements just keep on bonusing it up, even with all the even with like the small minuses. And I'm just like, okay, this episode, yes, you stay on the top right now because right now you usurp every single other episode, including Breakdown. Yeah. You're my favorite episode of the season. Enjoy your spot right now. Hopefully there'll be more episodes to usurp your spot because right now it's like I'm feeling like a good upturn for season 8. This is a good upturn.
Agreed.
I mean, definitely. Well, it was definitely some kind of an upturn for shows we've been on recently. It might have had a chance of getting there for me too if it had maybe tightened up its structure a bit. I felt like like we were just saying about the Navy scene, it might have doomed itself to almost not being able to help giving off that impression when it just like went the route of just every single situation is something entirely new. Then it dooms itself to being a little bit of the hijinks plot, like, okay, what's the next downfall going to be? And like whereas there's some comparisons like Twilight and Winter Wrap Up, that was also a one after the other sort of scenario, but it does sort of follow a character arc for Twilight, not just one after the other. I mean, I guess to be fair, you could say that this one does add certain bits to it, like, okay, well, I can't all the ways he can't fit into the new world and stuff, but I mean, I don't know, I felt like Winter Wrap Up, this is why comparing episodes you haven't seen in a while is always a problem, but I do remember getting more of a sense of like an escalating sense of mood, of tension, of disappointment for Twilight. Like when she finally strikes out at the end, I remember really feeling it there. This was this had more of a feeling of kind of one after the other. Even though, like, even in its cheesier moments, I feel like, between the character charisma and the fact that it's real, like, I mean, compared to some of the recent episodes, there's really not a lot of that incredibly forced writing where just somebody's reaction feels really, really stilted, or something like some scenario you can see what's coming the second it starts, and you're face palming at it from that very moment. Like it never sinks to that level either. So it's an easier episode to like than a lot of the ones that. Well, for like last week's, for example, that in spite of its strong isolated character Mitch just had so many moments where it seemed to think that it was so funny.
But even though that we have to do a little digging, no pun intended, that still makes it like good when we finally find a little bit of gold we struck upon, like with him wanting to become a statue and stuff like that. Actually, being a living tombstone, wasn't that what happened with the Discord? He was still living inside, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, well.
Yeah.
I think the implication there was that he would basically be an eternal slumber in this case, unlike Discord, which is
sleep.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, that's a little better, but still not good though. So
he was turned to stone, but like he would be like sleeping while he was in stone.
Do you know if Discord was alive and awake?
Yeah, Discord said he could hear everything Celestia said, even though he was turned to stone, although that might be because Discord is a more powerful being than Rockhoof is.
It's creepy. It's really creepy. Imagine like being turned to stone and can hear and see everything going on around.
Yeah, Discord, they skirted around the fact that would be one hell of a punishment if you were actually living it out.
Yeah.
Put that aside.
All right. Any other final thoughts?
Yeah, getting back to what I was saying, it's one of the things I like about this series is that how they're not afraid to tackle kind of the mature topics. How they're not afraid to really drive the conflict like really deep and take it really far. As in this episode, like really, not making the conflict too really shallow and just like one of those slice of life moments. It's it's like an actual problem that now like the character in question is now going to resort to doing something really dire, like saying, "Oh, I want to be turned to stone, and just be there forever in a museum." Or it's not just another kids cartoon. It's better. It's more dramatic.
Mm-hmm. True.
Mm-hmm.
I'll give you that in this case. Like Rockhoof, when he's saying that stuff, it doesn't sound like unnatural dialogue.
I mean,
it felt genuine, the things he was saying.
Yeah, it's
like you could have you could have skipped over that stuff. You could have they could have had the solution like earlier, like before that point, and they would just end the episode there. But they didn't. They took the conflict even further.
Yeah, there's definitely some legit good writing going on in this one. Like I said, charisma.
It's also like it's like a good callback to like the beginning of the episode in which like Professor Fieldstone was just very much like talking about like Rockhoof's like old village, like all these possessions and such are like quite literally like they used to be like important to you, like and like you be able to have fun with them, but now they're priceless in the form of like them gathering up dust, them being put up on a pedestal in a museum and such. And then him like thinking about himself as like maybe it would be better for me to be like a statue, like it would be a monument of like the history, like my time has passed. Like I should just leave it to like the new ponies and the creatures and such. Like it's there's just so much more you can unravel about this episode. I feel good. I feel optimistic again.
That's good. That's really good.
Hey.
This is hope.
I think Yakety Sax did more of a number on Gator than we realized.
Yeah.
Yakety Sax.
Oh, Oh, that just reminded me about that episode.
Yeah,
fucking
so
why?
let's go back to Rockhoof again.
Yeah.
Rockhoof,
We're end off.
Mm.
Rockhoof, and the only good Jack. The only good Jack. You deserve all the best. You deserve being
Yes.
queen.
Well, to be fair, the yaks were not the problem of the episode,
Oh,
which
yeah.
is a big bad sign.
Uh,
The actual
yes,
issue.
yeah, it's a very accurate statement.
That is like,
In fact, you could argue that the yaks were the good part, which is an even worse sign.
Yeah. It was sign for Pinky, yeah.
yeah,
But nevertheless, going back so we don't go on a tangent.
can we just agree like that episode really does deserve to be like one of the top 5 worst episodes of the series now?
Yes,
Actually, yeah.
definitely.
Yeah.
Wait.
All
Yes.
time and all episodes. But
I want to review all the episodes where I want to say that, but I would at the very least say it's a contender. Like it is at the very least a contender.
Yeah, I think it might be fighting for second worst right now on my card.
Good position.
But this one can actually do a Rockhoof episode. Like, let's go up on the top 5.
I
Your
could say,
all-time top 10 is going to include the Rockhoof episode. Not just of this season, of all time.
Oh no, yeah, okay. That's hard. Fuck trendy then.
Yeah. It's like you don't realize until you try to make your list.
Until you make the list in your head, and I'm also a little bit sleepy right now, so I'm like,
We're all a
sure.
bit sleepy.
Give it.
I'm just sort of like thinking about like this episode could be like the top 5 of like the My Little Pony episodes that aim to be more mature than usual.
Yeah, that's
Mm.
true. Mature stuff. It's also that with finding your place and figuring out how
it definitely can't be like at the very top because Applejack's parents kind of did their thing in Perfect Pair.
True.
Yeah, that's true.
True.
Yeah,
I mean, like,
It's hard to top
willing
that
to
one.
talk.
It's hard to top that. Yeah.
Like willing to talk about mature is one thing. Like, able to write it in a nuanced sort of a way that makes you feel it like you would if it were you firsthand. Like what Canterlot Wedding, where Twilight is put in that really difficult position of like honest to God thinking that her brother is about to marry the wrong person and not being able to convince anyone on it, especially since they have reason to think that she has a dog in that fight. I mean, that happens, and the episode plays it out in very much a way that it plays out when it happens, and that including where Twilight has to think for herself, has to think of a solution, and arguably picks the wrong one. Where when Twilight's heart breaks in that, I'm like, yeah, that's. I mean, like I feel like I feel that. English is hard sometimes. I mean, I feel like I can feel that to a T. Like Rockhoof saying, "Okay, I don't belong in this world because all these things didn't work out, and I want to be remembered for the hero I was." I believe he would say that. If the episode could have pulled it off with that being the subject, because obviously that's never happened to me, but I don't get a feeling of like, wow, I've been there, or like, wow, I can feel where he's coming from so much. Like,
but there's been a lot of growing episodes lately, also with Scootaloo and the
Washouts.
Yeah, all of that. So I think like the season is going to mature, or hopefully it's going to get better.
I would not complain if it did.
I mean, this season definitely feels like the CMC and Spike are literally now like beginning to be teenagers. That's really the thing.
Definitely.
It's like there's like that's like I feel it's true. It's like it's sort of weird with the CMC. Spike, I feel like they're very comfortable with him being like an older figure. Like they're more cementing it. But like the CMC, like they're basically having older themed plots, but they're still like they still look at it, they still look, act, and sound like kids. So it's like it's like it's like well, it's like
Dragon Ball Super.
No, I know there's a word. It's like words like something that says not be. I forget there's a word specifically for it, but yeah, it's like it just feels so weird. Like how they did the scenes like with like it's like oh like Sweetie Belle's all grown up now and all that. It's like that episode just felt a very weird.
Oh, you mean
all
for
right, anyway.
Philly?
Yeah. Anyway, let's finish up the thoughts on this episode.
Next.
Yeah, we got a charismatic episode. Some better writing than we've had recently on some levels. I don't quite go as high as everyone else here because the moments where it seemed to be choosing the standard cycle through the misadventure hijinks one after the other, I felt like I could see where all of those were going before they got there. It lost me there a little bit. It felt sort of standard, sort of typical, but it didn't lose me in the sense that I grew cynical or stopped caring or anything because, again, just charisma from the characters.
You should take your temperature.
That aside, okay, so good episode, solid, not top tier in any context for me except maybe this season. So, because, geez, I think this is well on its way to becoming the first season to get no A grades from me, but I'll give it a B. Heck, that's nothing to be ashamed of. That especially in this season where even a B, I've given 4 of those. Talking about your own grading system sounds very pretentious, but it's the only way I can keep track of these things.
I gotcha. This episode, okay, let's talk about the title for a second because how accurate this title really is. A Rockhoof in a hard place. I know it's a pun, but just after experiencing it, it's like how much of a hard place you had me to go through. You're having me feeling depression up on a horse. The only show to do that is BoJack Horseman, tell me.
Oh no, stop it.
I'm sorry. I just have to bring that up because it's just like I don't want to feel depressed about horse, but I just finished watching season 5 of that show. But yeah, this episode was quite the hope sparker in me. Certainly an episode that I really did respect Rockhoof as a character. As Second mentioned, charismatic indeed. He really did draw himself his basic personality, even more so than Applejack. And it's kind of sad because if only Applejack had a charismatic personality to carry her episodes along. Yeah, but it's also a nice little thing about Yona being the nice companion for Rockhoof to be oh, I'm your Scootaloo. I'm just gonna be the one idolizing over you and such. Isn't it great how the Earth ponies who are super strong or super energetic about our culture are just really awesome for the yaks and such?
That's an interesting comparison, actually, with Scootaloo.
Yeah.
It's just that's just what I think about her, and she's just every single thing that happened this episode involving around the shovel. So many uses of that thing, and it never got old.
Rockhoof the Shovel Knight.
Mm-hmm.
Perfect.
It's perfect fan art potential, people. Make those
It is.
crossovers.
Rockhoof for Smash.
Let's see, but yeah, it's also while this episode stumbles a bit in Rockhoof just misunderstands about the culture, about fires being spewed out doesn't always mean a bad thing, or Or like when the people when Ostellus was talking about like, oh, we were just talking about the first time that Discord got stoned by Celestia and Luna, and it's just like
Discord got stoned,
Discord.
man.
I was waiting for that. Discord got stoned, man. This looks like Discord took a visit to Tree Hugger.
but then like the episode was like, you know what? I'm going to use this continuity of the episode to slowly build up to like what Rockhoof must be thinking. It's like, what would be the best solution that would involve around what Professor Fossil had to mention at the beginning before like the opening, what Ostellus mentioned about like Discord's imprisonment in stone, and about like every other pillar of a pillar of Equestria, just literally being able to integrate, adapt, or find new ways of integrating with society. And that is to be in a museum as a piece of old Viking history. There's no home for me to go back to. There's no place for me to like be like, hey, I'm gonna be with my own people and celebrate. No, I'm just by myself. Only being able to associate with like old companions. And even then they're living much more fulfilling lives than me. Such a sad life.
Mm-hmm.
Life would be easier as a statue.
That is kind of sad, though.
There would be no better life than no life.
It's just, and then like with like Rockhoof even wearing that like sailor outfit, and I'm just like, I want to make as many anime references as possible right now while you're still wearing that, man. Like, hey, look, you know about Luna being Sailor Moon? Now we got Sailor Mars.
Oh my god. That's hilarious.
But or just literally like Josuke Higashikata from Part 8, because he actually wears a sailor outfit all the time. yeah. I just loved him all throughout the episode. Even like had like a good part for like the hippogriffs. And I'm just like, well, this is the best part of the hippogriffs inclusion of the series.
Yeah.
Like surfing or turf can suck it.
Careful when you say that too. That episode has its defenders.
Yeah. I mean, like then again, it's like Harmony and Heights was like the only highlight of that episode for me. I just really enjoyed that site. But yeah,
Not on your side, but
it's
more or less.
Just overall, I appreciate everything this episode had to give. It gives me a whole lot of imagination for like just being like, oh, you can make this series about like what Rockhoof is thinking of. This could be like a thesis of like how to progress a story along and give your main character the ideas which would lead to the logical conclusion that would make absolute sense. Like a rolling stone, just picking up more gravel as it goes along while slowly thinking that to itself that it's eroding, becoming a shell of its own. Thank you, second.
Always at the end of my ride.
I wanna ride.
Hit 'em up,
Yeah.
move 'em up. Ride 'em in Ride. Ride 'em in Rockhoof.
Perfect.
Mm-hmm.
Perfect.
All right. Any other final thoughts before we head out?
Nope.
Nope.
All right. I mean, I think I sounded more negative on this episode than I was, because overall I felt it was a good episode. I just felt it could have been a great episode if it was just a little bit more focused, but like a lot of the parts were pretty good. Just a little bit more focused and it would have been great in my mind. All right. Until next time.
Good
Bye.
night.
Bye.
Ciao.